Welcome everyone, welcome to TFTV. I am Ombrack and you're joining us for the season 31 ETF2L upper bracket finals between Ascent.EU and no, it's a lower bracket final actually. What a way to start, between Ascent.EU and Think Gaming. I'm joined with Beta. Hi Beta, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. This is the second cast of the day, and it's just gonna get better and better, I assume. Gonna be a really interesting matchup here. Definitely a matchup where we have a very clear favorite, but at the same time, we've seen Feint Gaming have some pretty good results where it kind of seems like they're on an upward curve. So hopefully we're gonna get a good game out of this.
Yeah, hopefully. I share your hopes, be there. We have on production the amazing Gem, who's been handling everything pretty much perfectly this season. And yeah, again, lower brackets final of season 31, powered by Copenhagen Game and STN.tf. You've mentioned, Peter, that this is on paper maybe somewhat of a one-sided game between Ascent.EU and Feint, with Ascent being some kind of favorite. But as you mentioned, Feint is having, let's call it, momentum. They've won their last game. Well, if you look at the last results, I mean, Ascent lost their last game while Feint won. So you know how important momentum is in this kind of games. But before we go any further, I say we go through the rosters. So we're done with that. I'll let you pick the team you want to go through, and I'll do the other one.
All right, sure. I'll do Feint's roster. So on Medic we have Seeds. Then on Scout we have Sorix and Kunu. I think Sorix is a flank scout, but I could actually be wrong on that one. Then we have Amarok on Pocket Soldier, and then we have Korvac on Roamer, and then standing in for Ali we have Eames, and that's probably going to be something that's going to be a pretty heavy thing that we're going to talk about some more. But let's go through the other roster before that.
Yeah, on the other side of the field, we have Ascent.EU, a team led by Amps, the Finnish pocket scout. The other scout for Ascent is another Finn. It's Credu, who played for Ascent on previous seasons as well. The roaming soldier is no other than Drac. We've seen him a long time playing Prem and playing finals. He knows what it is like to win. The pocket soldier is Silentis. On Demoman, there's the Frenchman Elacour, and the medic is Condog or Connor. Call him however you want. I'll probably go with Condog during the cast because that's what I'm used to, but both will fit. But yeah, I think the biggest point of interest tonight is the presence of Eames playing for Ali.
Yeah, he was really heartbroken about not making it into Prem playoffs, but then he just snuck onto the team that defeated his initial team, or Electro, and now he's in Prem playoffs anyway. So Eames cannot be denied, and it's kind of due to Ali just not seemingly caring that much, and he was just kind of throwing and being overly aggressive and getting picked off really a lot, and just you got the sense that he wasn't trying very hard, and that's just not a very good look for it. So Eames stepped in, and he's been doing really well for them, and they did win pretty convincingly. Like, they definitely looked like a much better team than Swift in their first round matchup against those guys. So definitely something that's worth keeping an eye on. Immediately, just when you think about it, Eames seems like a small step down from Ali, but I actually think it might be a huge step up, especially in their situation right now.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, Eames is basically the perfect replacement for Ali because he plays Demoman really well, his experience, and he can main call, and I think that's the main asset that Eames can bring to Feint. The fact that he can actually call and make decisions for the team, because when Feint Gaming came to life, Ali was the one main calling and taking decisions, doing basically, no matter how good your players are, if you don't have anyone who is able to lead to main call, then your team is not going to go anywhere. And that's how it felt that for Feint, when Ali wasn't really on, Feint was just playing bad, and I think Eames brings that really well. And I mean, it's pretty easy to see the difference. When Feint played with Ali against Swift, Feint lost. That was the last week of the season, and then Eames stepped in, and Feint had to play against Swift again in the playoffs, and then Feint won. So yeah, that's just what kind of impact Eames has on that team. And then I'm sure such a potent caller can just bring the best of players like Sorex and Korvac, for example, who are just extremely talented players that confirmed players, and then you have players like Seeds or Kunu, who are maybe a bit less experienced to Prem level. I think that's the first time Kunu was playing Prem this season. Since has been around for a bit longer, but yeah, Eames is pretty much, I think, the perfect fit for that team. But on the other side of the field, there you should keep the players onto your radar, because I mean, look at the names for Ascent: Ams, Silentis, Drac, Elacor. Like, this is so impressive. These
point out
these
a bad
names.
player there. Good luck. It's just a really, really strong. It's basically a second super team, right? The 7 team feels kind of like a super team, and then out of nowhere we just get this Ascent team that also feels like a super team. So they've definitely been assembled to like challenge 7 for the crown of Europe, and so far they've been putting up a really good fight. You definitely get the feeling that they have every opportunity to actually win out against 7 in this season, and you know, they definitely come into this the favorites. But I mean, I guess we should just set the stage here for what the situation is, and that is that it's the lower bracket finals, and that is that if Feint loses, they're out, and if Ascent loses, they're out. So either team here, if they're just not having a good day and they lose, they're just out, and they're gonna have just squandered the season, and that would be really heartbreaking for them. So hearts are gonna be broken tonight, and the winner will move on to phase 7 in the finals, where they will have like a disadvantage in the map picks, but otherwise be pretty much even for them in that way. So that's the stage that we're going into this, and so we have these 2 teams, and you know, I mentioned that I think Ascend are the favorites, and it is because they have like this superstar roster. But also, it's slightly has to do with the fact that Feint, they seem to not really be able to like punch above their level, right? They always have trouble against the seeds that are higher than them. So they've lost against 7 and they've lost against Ascent. So now but they did beat Swift. So now the question is, can they actually begin punching above their level and actually take out a superior seed?
Well, they will have to if they want that ticket for the finals. And you mentioned how hearts will be broken, and it's definitely going to happen. But I think if something tragic happens, it will be more like worse for Sen, because when Ams made that team, he tailored it to make it to the finals in contest 7. So like, there's no room for mistake for them. They need to go on the finals, otherwise this season is going to be just a crash. Whereas Feint, I think third spot was pretty much what they were aiming for at the start of the season. I think they are well aware that they're seeds 3, like they by no means first or second seed, and being there is already pretty much a successful season for them. So now I think they're going into that game with a free mind. Of course they want to win, but they don't have, in my opinion, that extra layer of pressure that Ascent can have. And we all know how the choke potential is actually a thing. And when you play for such a big stakes, when so much is at stake, sometimes your mouse is going to be a bit less accurate. You're going to whiff a shot or two, and I mean, we've seen that happen before. And I don't know what's your take on that, Peter, but I think Feint goes into that game a little bit less pressured maybe than Ascent.
Yeah, you can definitely be a lot looser in the way you play, right? And sometimes pressure can just be this weight that just weighs you down and just makes it so that you're not performing optimally because you overthink things and you just don't move fast enough because you're just being way too careful. And then also, if you just in every game that you play of TF2, there's going to be like some small things that go against you. That it's just really natural in the way that TF2 works. There's just going to be little mistakes and little things that are just unfortunate where you don't get it and then you lose a player or something like that. And if you consider yourself this massive favorite and just have this massive hubris just looming over you, well, maybe it's just going to frustrate you a lot more when those little things happen. And then when you're frustrated, you're going to start tilting. And then when you tilt, it can just kind of spiral out of control. So you definitely have to make sure that you don't get caught up in that vicious spiral and just keep your head cool and you don't let the pressure get to you while the other team can just kind of play freely because they have nothing to lose. I know I love playing in the underdog position because I just feel like so much more free. I can just focus on the game. I don't have to think about how people are like gonna look at me if I don't perform, and like some people will just very naturally begin thinking about like factors outside of the game itself and how people think of them, and that can definitely be a detriment to them.
And so this is all pretty much speculation. All this choke, this tilt, this pressure factor. Let's talk about something we know for a fact. That's how these two teams play, and they play really differently. Feint has always been that really methodical team, really patient. Some people even say that they were even more boring to watch than old Crowns. So that's saying something. And
Damn.
I think Eames brings that as well. Like with Aura, they had a very careful way of playing the game as well. So Eames is again a perfect fit for Feint, I think. And on the other side, I'm only gonna name one guy. There's Ams. So there's no waiting on that part of the field. There's just aggression. I mean, they have the DM to complement that, but I feel like this is a real, pretty much the same that we can see between Seven and Ascent, but some clash of playstyle.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be kind of an unstoppable object against an immovable wall. I don't know how it is, but basically it's going to be two very different playstyle, and it's probably going to be Ascent running into them a whole lot, and it's going to come down to whether or not Feint can just resist that pressure on the flanks. Whether or not they can do it. And on that flank, of course, we have Kor'bak. So we have a pretty interesting matchup where that was really enjoyable the last time around that these two teams met. And that is, of course, Kor'bak versus Elakor. And it looks like we might be starting on Process. I thought it was going to be Granary, but oh well. Like, Process is the perfect map to start on, because this is one of the maps where Kor'bak can just roll out super fast. So, he can just immediately take him down if that's what he wants to do.
And I see one of the team being ready. We'll just mention the map that we'll see tonight. So first map is Process, the second one is Gullywash, and if we go to a decider, it will be Sunshine. But yeah, you mentioned that clash of titans between Elakor and Kor'bak. Remember some taunt going on the when they played each other on the regular season. I remember some air shots being exchanged and someone taunting the other. So I think there's, I won't say beef, but some more to perform tonight for both of these players. I think there's like some French supremacy to assert between Elakor and Kor'bak, and yeah, that's you mentioned that it's so polarizing between the roamer and the demo man, because there's that fast rollout that you can do on mid, where basically the roamer just jumps on the demo man. So we could really well see a Kor'bak versus Elakor duel after like 10 seconds of playtime. So, and maybe it will set the tone, I don't know. I think Kor'bak is within that really patient team that is Feint. I think Kor'bak is that driving force, that what aggressive elements that sometimes can break the momentum, because you would expect Feint to just wait and waste time, and then out of nowhere Kor'bak jumps in, he kills your pocket, he kills your medic, and you don't really know what happens. That kind of, I think Kor'bak brings that kind of blitzkrieg element to Feint, to the really patient playstyle of Feint. So it would be interesting to see how Ams decides, because Ams is main calling for Ascent, of course, to see how he can adapt the way they play, because some people have called Ascent to be extremely impatient sometimes, just going in trades that were not supposed to happen, where Ams just take a solo Uber and it kind of falls apart sometimes. So it's going to be, I feel like Ams and Kor'bak will be we mentioned Elakor because he's really good, but when we goes to aggression and to break momentum, I feel like Ams and Kor'bak will be the two players to really focus on when it comes to when we have a stalemate, because these two can just turn the game around.
It is worth noting that this is actually a pretty bad map for teams that are very aggressive, because it's one of the maps that are a lot easier than others to actually kite Ubers and just spam out chokes and just play pretty far back. It has a lot of pretty tight chokes and then a lot of open space behind those, so getting people in like clean or just pushing through a choke can be very difficult. There's like the far side super push, basically, right? That's only one I can really think of where you can do that kind of thing. So, that could definitely play into Feint's favor. And we were talking about the player matchups, and another matchup that we could potentially see on the first mid, although I don't think it's that likely, is actually the sniper duel of Kredu and Kunu. They could both roll out sniper to mid. I doubt it, but it's actually a possibility. And Process is a pretty good sniper map, and so is Gullywash, and even Sunshine to some degree can be pretty good. So yeah, that's another matchup to look out for.
I think Kunu said once that nowadays Kredu is the only sniper he fears. So that's just how good Kredu is, because we all know how Kunu is an extremely talented sniper. So yeah, that's how good. I mean, do we need to say how each of these players are good? I mean, they're all amazing. They're all extremely good. They wouldn't be here if they were not, and I'm sure they're really eager to show that to us. So again, this is the lower bracket finals between Ascent.EU and Feint. I think we're going live here. This is happening right now, really soon. All players are ready, 12 players. And I'm really excited to see how it's going to unravel. I pray we go to 3 maps, because I'm pretty sure the show will be up to what we can expect. And I don't know who's going to be your MVP on the first map, Peter. You have 5 seconds to tell me.
It's going to be Kredu. Kredu's going to go crazy. And I will also even tease out a little prediction, which I think is going to be 4-2 in favor of Ascent. I think it's going to be a pretty slow map, but we will see. Who do you think is going to win?
I think I need to say, I have to say Feint, otherwise people will think we're biased. So I'll give it to Feint, and I'll give it to my boy Ombrack. I know he's really able to make things happen. And this is it. This is happening. The first round of the lower bracket finals between Ascent.EU and Feint Gaming. I don't know who you're gonna see, Peter, but let's go on that first rollout. What's gonna happen? I think my key is broken. Can you take us through that first rollout?
Yeah. Kredu actually went sniper to mid, and both demo men were pretty slow. Drag's gonna put some pressure onto Eames immediately, but it doesn't really commit to it. Now we have a Skype box bomb here from Silentis over on the other side. He doesn't get too much done, but Kredu immediately gets something done. Gets Kunu. The sniper duel, not quite, but he snipes him down anyway, and this is looking like it's going to be just all Ascent here, as everyone else just has to get out.
Yeah, I fixed my key, so I should be good. But yeah, we're almost right, Peter. We saw a sniper on the first middle, but the fight is still happening. The bomb is coming from Silentis up to Seeds. He almost hits that rocket. That was like being a really nice shot.
There's the scout on the medic.
He's unnoticed. He gets Seeds extremely low, and Seeds doesn't use that Uber. He trusted his teammates perfectly, and Feint tech that first mid, even though Kredu was the one taking that first casualty. And I think why do you think Kredu go on sniper after at the start? Do you think they want to throw Ascent off already?
Yeah, I think that's just a curveball thing. Yeah, you don't usually see that. And also I will mention that there was actually an air shot onto Elikor from Ombrack there. He came in from behind, so that's going to be 1-0 definitely in favor of Ombrack.
It looks like Feint is trying to take that Uber onto the lobby. There's a sentry gun already denying the jump from Eames, but the sentry gun is already taken down, and now we can see Feint taking that control of the top right area. Ascent is extremely slowly trying to wait for the Uber. They have a heavy. Ombrack is gonna jump onto Kundok. He gets to rocket onto the medic. There's no heals now for Ascent. They need to take that correctly. Seeds died as well on the other side of the last from Amps, and now it's a 3v3, but there's no health on the side of Feint. 2 players in red health. They need to leave. It's Amarok and Sorox. They can't get that done anymore. And somehow, somewhere, Ascent hold that with the Uber disadvantage.
They just didn't get in far enough with that Uber. And they spent a really long time fighting them at mid-range. And that allowed some spawners to come in for Ascent. And then also they had a heavy that was really uncontested and unpressured, just raining down that constant damage for them for a really long time. So that was really why that push failed. And fortunately for them, Ombrack did drop down there and get the medic, and that's actually going to allow them to go for a crit streak here. So the crit streak on season, they are already on 90%, so they're building it very quickly here.
I'm pretty sure this is going to surprise. I saw Kredu on Spy, so maybe check that, but the crit onto the hands of Sid is not something we can expect. The crit is being used onto lobby, but Eames can't really connect. That's Siki, it dies to spam from Elako, and unfortunately that Siki didn't really do anything, and now Feint they need to play back because the retaliation is going to come from Ascent. I'm expecting them to push out with their Uber charge. They're taking the lobby already. I can see Amps maybe trying to lead, or is it Elakor? They're trying to go from the lower. There's no stickies to prevent them from going. The bomb is coming! from Korvac, he forces Conduct with 2 nice rocket, and this is pretty much the best thing that Feint could have hoped on that second hole, because they force the Uber. They don't really lose much, only 2 players down. Maybe this is enough for Ascent to take more ground with it. They're already on second. Look at Elcourse bombing extremely aggressively onto the choke. Gets Eames extremely low, extremely weak, but Eames doesn't die. And Seeds has now a 30% Uber ad, and we could have seen a stalemate here, but both teams decided to play extremely aggressively already, Peter, and I think this is a really good omen for the rest of the evening.
Indeed it is, and Feint, they have a slight Uber advantage that is very difficult to push in on. I mentioned it slightly in the pregame, and that is that it's very difficult to push in, but it looks like Feint, they might actually be gearing up to do it. That was a really nice push out there, but Korvac has just had perfect timing so far. It just always gets onto Seeds, and Seeds was forced to use his Uber before that really came in. And apparently Feint, they're just sitting in this joke. I don't think they'll actually go for it. Maybe they're trying to see if they can bait someone into them, but no, they're just gonna take a chill pill, and we are actually gonna see our first stalemate of the evening. So now it's just gonna be a matter of, are we gonna see the classic double soldier bomb in, or are we gonna see something completely different?
And Seeds is back on the regular Uber charge, and of course, as soon as I say that game is extremely back and forth, there's a stalemate, so you know, maybe we know nothing about the game.
Gets denied. Oh
I think Drag got airshot here when he tried to bomb, but he doesn't die, so maybe that's good for him. And this was the first attempt of Ascent to break that hole you mentioned, how it's actually really hard point to break, right? Really hard hole to break. There's some stickies on the upper ground to deny the bomb, but Drak is coming in extremely fast. He whiffs the first rocket onto Sid. He actually doesn't hit Sid, only with a splash, so of course Sid doesn't use here. That was the first attempt. Maybe there's gonna be some kind of retaliation from Feint, but look at Korvac, it doesn't look like he wants to take that. Credu and Arms are actually kind of a bit forward. They're trying to do something even though they're only 5 up, and Silentes on the flank trying to do something. He's getting picked by Sorex.
Scouts onto Seeds. Again, Seeds just holds on to trust his team there to get it. Yeah, it was really weird by Drak. He actually didn't go for the medic at all. He just went for the scout. I think he accidentally hit him and then just decided, I'm just going to see if I can trade. And he actually did get the trade out. So it was a 5v5.
Korvac bumps in, gets 2 rocket, and this time Conduct decided to use this. So it's going to be pretty inefficient here for Ascent. They can't do anything with that Uber. They know they can't push forward, so they have to come back and try to set up a hold onto the middle point. But yeah, dive bomb from Korvac with the help of Sorex pretty good. And Credu as well on the flank. He tried to go for Siege, but Siege doesn't have either he doesn't have his Uber charge bind, or he just has the nerves not to use. But that's the third time now that Siege doesn't use. Drak dies, trying to force the Uber. Kunu dies as well, but I think this is a safe and a free push onto middle point for Feint. Really nice play. They took it really cautiously, Peter, and they were basically no harms done for Feint.
I really like that decision because they had a couple of players just feed into them, you know, so they were basically 2 players up, or at least 1, and then you just slowly went in there. There were no more players that could really go in there without it being a complete feed, but this second point push is going to be a lot more difficult.
Yeah, because Conduct is gonna have... Oh, Siege dropped! There was a sticky trap from Elacour, and this time Siege, there's nothing he could have done to prevent that, because that's a sticky trap. So yeah, he dropped the Uber, and Conduct is gonna have an Uber of his own. So complete turnaround here. That's crazy how 3 stickies can just change the tide of a game. And now Feint, they need to take that back. Korvac is probably gonna die. He was on the flank. He can't do anything. And yeah, Elacour just basically saved the day here for Ascent, and it's gonna be a tough hold now for Feint on that second point, because they have a super big disadvantage, 80% disadvantage actually, to be more accurate, and Ams is already taking space on the second point. Feint, they know they can't really fight properly. Eames is actually getting juggled and dies. This is extremely bad. Kunu dies as well. Nice rocket, nice play here from Draken Silentes, and this is going to be bad. I think Ams on Nas already, I think he's getting a bit too far forward for the rest of his teammates. And Conduct actually used his own Uber. I don't really know how that happened, but in the end...
Amarok on him.
Oh, he got first by Amarok, I see. But Ascent is still... Look at... They're relentless. They're going on last. Nice rocket onto Silentes. Sorex dies as well. But I don't think... There's a lot of character already as well, so maybe there's a point play here to be done. See, extremely weak, but look at that. Frags piling up for Feint. And once again, that team fight goes in favor of Feint Gaming. And I think that play from Amarok completely changed it all.
It was a really important force out, and he even didn't die immediately, so he even forced his players back there a little bit. And that was just maybe a little bit overzealous coming out from Ascent. They could have just slowed it down and taken it easy, but they just slowly bled a ton of damage, and then at some point Eves just right-clicked and killed everyone at the same time. It was like a 3k in 0.1 second, but Kratos is now on Sniper as a middle is definitely gonna change hands, and the push might come in already.
He got a headshot. He knows he's on IT, and Feint is already taking that Uber maybe through that lower IT. They haven't used it, not being forced. They look at Ascent. They're giving so much respect to Feint and to that Uber charge. They're already back on last with Ams getting a gun, and it's gonna be a 50% Uber ad for Feint. We've seen them whiffing an Uber ad push already earlier in that game, so maybe they have something different in mind this time. But they're taking that sweet time, and maybe this is not the proper play here. I think there's some kind of Uber miscalculation here, because they're not going to push on that Uber ad. They probably expect Kondok to have the Uber already, even though he doesn't quite have it. And some waste of ad here for Feint, but maybe they want to take this more cautiously. We've seen them playing slowly, and they really know how to do that really well, so maybe they have something in the back of their heads. Again, we mentioned how Eames is an extremely careful player. And look at Ascent already trying to take some space in lobby. Maybe Credu on the boiler. It gets a shot on Amarok, and maybe this is enough for them to push out.
Yeah, that was just all a play to get him onto the boiler, and he just immediately hits him. We actually see a sentry gun, I think, being carried into the lobby. Yeah, so, okay. This is definitely some weird strategies going on. You might see Korvac just get all the way in there. Okay, he's kind of changed position there now, but this is a very interesting, very forward hold coming out here from Ascent with a sentry gun in lobby. I'm just waiting for the dispenser to come down here so they have infinite ammo as well. But it looks like they've actually decided to back off here as the spawners come in. But we don't see a sniper or anything here from Feint. So, you know, they're just going to have to figure this out without having a scope to really see what's going on. But yeah, Ascent looks like they're kind of going back and forth on whether or not they want to do this forward hold.
It's been 10 minutes and we can already see EU gimmicks, so thank you Ams to make the legacy lives on, I guess. And Credo is on Sniper on the far end of lobby, trying to get a shot, and I think he got one. Seeds got a headshot against Swift on that exact same situation where Chris picked in. Drak is bombing in. He gets actually completely destroyed by Sorex, and he can't even see Seeds. I don't think he know where Seeds was. So yeah, no medic in sight. Clueless bomb here for Drak, and it's gonna be another hold. And Kunu is back with the sniping rifle, so we are gonna see that duel that you mentioned earlier, Beta, the Credu against Kunu.
I'm excited to see it, and also, so far Drak's thing this game has just been to bomb in for the medic, not find the medic, and then go for someone else. Just immediately switch target. I feel like he's not even trying to do it, but also we see... Now. Yeah, that's going to be a bit of a change of tactics, so at the very least this is going to give him perfect calls on where this sniper is for the sniper duel. That could actually be a really nice advantage going into this, but, you know, he's looking for the ultimate prize, which would be the back of a medic. And he's on Spire here, this is nice, so he can actually do an Assassin's Creed move here.
And I like that these two teams, they try a lot of things. Credo died to a nice sync play from Kunu and Amarok, so there's no sniper in line here for Ascent. And maybe there's a sideline for Kunu. He gets the shot onto Am, so no NG as well. It's maybe now time to spam the gun. They get the gun down, and Drak probably saves it, killing Ames. That's actually an extremely valuable pick, and Kondok was forced on the other side. I think a bomb from Amarok was what did the trick, and now Ubers are being somewhat traded, but sees that's a way much better Uber onto the lobby. Silentis dies for the force, but somehow that's play for Silentis saved Ascent, because Feint couldn't do anything with the charge, and it's gonna be another reset. But yeah, I mentioned Beaver, these two teams, they tried a lot of things. They don't just sit back, they actually actively are trying to break the hold.
I love when people do that, just actively play TF2, you know, go for plays. I hate those teams that just sit around and don't really try to do anything, and neither of these teams really fall into that category. As Kuno, he's going to go sniper once again. He's finding his way into lobby slowly but surely. I think at least they're making space for him. Yeah, there we go. He's in there. There is no counter sniper right now, so I'm really curious if they actually know it, because oftentimes when teams see a sniper, they'll go for the counter snipe. But I think they've actually realized now.
And Amarok dies as well, and I think on that situation it's actually alright to keep a scout as scouts and not off-casting, so you can have some mobility for your medic, because I think that why Kondok used on that force from Amarok was he had no scout to get away from the bomb. So maybe they're trying to do something new. Drac was on the back line. He got picked up by Sorex. So nothing, again, not really, Drac not really having the game of his life so far, but it's pretty hard to break that hole when everybody's pretty much looking for him all the time. And now we can see Kunu trying to pick out to Slitters. He gets it. It goes one aggressively, but the stickies from Elako is actually going to put him back. And that single pick is not really enough to make something happen. So unless they can get another one, Slitters is going to spawn
it's opened
again.
it up.
And the bomb. And he forced Kondog again. Eames dies as well, so it's not really good for Feint. Maybe Sorex is gonna die as well. He's 50 HP. He managed to escape. But this is the Kunu with the headshot onto Elako, maybe denying that push out from Ascent. Only Credo is basically now on second point, but he probably will have to go back because Amrak is bombing in. But Drac this time is behind. He's been called as well. And yeah, this is the second time that Kondog is being forced. Ams.
Oh no, it's not a spy.
Look
it's an
at
engineer. My bad. I just saw the outline. And he's actually on the point trying to stop this. And is he gonna get this? Unbelievable. This is actually just gonna force people back, and he actually gets it. And he even crits Amarok as he jumps him. This is just unbelievable. He's out of crits now, but he takes the demo man. He's gonna get the no way. Oh my god.
And he got seeds as well in the confusion, so I think that play didn't make any sense, and this is exactly why it worked. Credit taunting, you don't taunt in lower bracket final, buddy. You're gonna get picked up as soon as you do it, and Sorex is there to punish people. Kondog is up before Siege, and yeah, we haven't had time to mention because it's really lively so far. But I feel like Kondog being forced twice in the same situation is kind of questionable. Korvac bombs in, gets one rocket, can't get the second one onto Kondog. But yeah, probably a hold is not really safe proof right now for Ascent. They need to figure some things out. And Caesar's already made up for his Uber disadvantage. And now the push is coming from Ascent onto the middle point. They try to push back everybody for Feint, and they managed to do it pretty well. Arms dives to Sticky Trap, so maybe this is enough for Feint to go back, but no, they try to play carefully. I'm pretty sure Thids expect to have an Uber disadvantage because he should have one if the Hubble was to be built properly for Ascent, but as it appears, the Ubers are pretty much even. And I want to go back on that Amps play. That was crazy.
Yeah, he snuck his way all the way around through PC and then all the way back behind. It's making me think he was a spy. But we actually have a lot of aggression right now from both of the soldiers. Last time around they did this, it was just a complete solid. This time around, not quite the same success. We do see a pick onto Amarok though, but then Soldier's actually snuck his way in behind, but he's not able to find the medic. A nice seed from Connor, actually like on 50 HP or 20 HP or something like that. So saves the situation, but it's actually looking pretty bad for both teams right now. They're just missing the personnel and the heals to go in, but this is going to be a soldier suicide instead.
And Elakor tries to follow up, try to get some spam going onto Seed, but he can't really connect the pipes. And Amps is actually leading his medic to in a troublesome situation, and Elakor dies as well. This is horrendous now for Ascent. The Uber was used to no avail, and Elakor died in that process as well. So now it's going to be a sizable, super big ad for Feint. They go into that middle point with more numbers, better Uber, and they don't even have to use because Amps is going to get cleaned up on the side. So I don't really know what happened. I'm expecting some kind of miscommunication here onto the side of Ascent. And now this is once more a complete reversal of the situation. Siege is taking
he's
that
cheating.
Uber.
He's cheating. Oh my god. Drac, he was trying to wall bug there, but it didn't quite work out for him. He missed the air shot onto the demo man. So he's just going to go down for nothing now, and it's going to be a full advantage here for Feint. They do need to cap Spire before they can move on to last, but
They're
so
not
wasting much time.
They're so fast. They're using already on the first door. Eames is trying to date that Uber happening, gets the gun down, and now already some cap time is going to happen onto Kunub. The bomb is coming from Silentis. They can. Elako dies to no sticky, no heals as well. Eames like Korvac. Frags being exchanged all over the place. Silentis is sitting at 3 HP. He can maybe hide behind his pyro. This is exactly what he's doing. And Sorex doesn't care for that. He goes back, gets one shot, gets the pyro, gets dragged direct from Silentis. Saves the day. And that fight was extremely scrappy. And somehow Feint gets the better end of that. Because yes, they didn't cap, but they killed Kondog while Siege has a better Uber percentage now.
The point basically acted like a pipe bomb from Left 4 Dead, where everyone was just piling onto it until everything exploded. But as it is, we're going to see a slight Uber advantage from Feint. They should know about it, as well, and it looks like they are actually setting up to go here through lobby, and they're being very, very quick about it as well. Connor hasn't been building completely optimally here. We do see Assorted building it with the pain train, but yeah, this Uber's going to come in, and it's going to come in fast.
But Condor goes already has 90%. The Uber is being used early onto Eames and Kunu trying to get Captain already. Nobody contests that. But yeah, the Uber is being used now by Ascent to try to get the frags down. But Ams and Kunu are one casualty for each team, and Amarok does as well. So maybe this is enough now. But no, frags just keeps on exchanging. Nothing really happens. Nobody take the edge. They need to push. But now there's only 3 players for Feint, Credu and Korback once more. It's about trades tonight. Frags being traded all over the place, and again, I feel like Ascent that got that Uber right in time, but Feint, they're so aggressive right now. They try to contest on that second point. They don't want to let Ascent cap it, and they get Silentes on that fight. And now it's another Uber ad for Seeds. It's a pretty small one, pretty hard to tell. It's an ad, actually. And with Sorex down, it's probably going to slow things down quite a bit. And I'm expecting now Credu, yeah, he's on the Sentry class. He's getting a gun on that spawn door. And so it's been 20 minutes now. 19, and I feel like Feint is actually a bit ahead now.
They've definitely been looking like the better team for like long swath of this game so far. Like they definitely have things going, and this time around they're not gonna dot push around. It didn't work out the last time. It's always, you know, it is called a dot push for a reason, and that is that if you're just a little bit too slow with getting in, and you don't get it far enough in, you get juggled maybe a little bit, and then the enemy team gets Uber, and then you're in really deep, and then it's very difficult to get out in time. And that's kind of what happened there. Fortunately, they were able to get some cleanup kills on the exit there, so they were able to barely stabilize. But it was very close. We actually see AMS on Spy. Yeah.
He's trying to go. He gets a frag on Kuno, but this is not really what he was looking for, because he wanted to go either for Eames or Seeds, but at least he got one. Drac tried to use that confusion to jump on Seeds, but again, the drag bombs were not really successful so far. Amps again on Spy. Maybe they don't expect it twice in a row. Maybe. I think he's got spotted. He got spotted. I don't know if that was a mistake, like unfortunate, or if he actually got spotted before. But now that he's dead,
sitting around. Oh wow! Korback tries to jump in there and just gets completely denied by the sentry gun. Just gets skyboxed and just destroyed by an aimbot. So, you know, he tried.
Actually changed the spot of his sentry gun, so maybe that's what messed around with Korback. I'm not really sure. Seeds is just sitting on that lower IT, look, waiting for players. Amps, I think that's what's the saying, Peter. 3 times the charm. They won't expect it 3 times in a row.
Oh man, the same soldier almost just walked into him again, but he's found the perfect corner. We're gonna need another guide strategy. We're gonna need another spy strategy guide here for these insane spots from AMS. But he's basically crouching in the corner, waiting for some sort of distraction, and we actually see Drak's gonna be that distraction.
They're expecting it. Amarok shoot behind him for no reason. Drak is behind. You just mentioned that, and he got picked up. So maybe they won't expect Amps now to be behind as well. And if they were hacking, they would know that it's only 4 people on Nash right now for Ascent, so maybe now would be the good time to push. Amps is trying to get onto position, but Amarok shoots rocket out the ground randomly, so I'm pretty sure they expect to spy, and this is preventing them from doing anything. They're too scared to push forward, and they're also waiting maybe for Kunu to hit that crispy headshot that would make all the difference, but it looks like he can't really quite get Elacor, who's peeking here and there, trying to play with fire, and so far it's not being burnt. And Amps, again, is relentless.
He's just playing CCTV camera, right? He almost gets bumped into there on Spire. He has to be very careful. And once again, you can see Drax in very aggressively, just trying to get some space and then act
they know?
Oh, AMS, he actually walked past the soldier. He didn't see him and then just uncloaked right in front of him. So he's going to get taken down once again. So, you know, will he do it a 4th time? I doubt it. You know, he's probably
I think that was already the 4th time, so it would be the 5th time. But to be fair, to his credit, there's not much more he could be doing right now. So blank spy actually means he's actively trying to make something happen, and we can see Feint once more taking that space, getting Eames extremely low, but not quite enough to put him back to spawn. Amarok as well is in the exact same spot. He almost lived, but that splash damage from Silentes claims the frag, and now it's.
Oh my God, the snipers!
Credu. Is it Amps? Yeah, it's Amps trying to pick. I think there was a sniper duel between Kunu, and nobody really connected that headshot, and this is getting a bit long now, Peter. It's been 4 minutes, and we've seen attempts, but no teams really. I mean, I think it's really hard for Ascent to do anything right now.
They could just go for the good old exchange, you know? Like at some point you just push in, you exchange Ubers and you go back out and you hope they overextend into you. At the very least it will allow you to reset the situation and just kind of break the stalemate to some degree. You know, just going in there and destroying all the buildings could be a thing that you just kind of do just to reset everything. But it does seem like Feint is kind of out of ideas. They don't know what to do other than just have Kuno go sniper and then hopefully have AMS feed in on Spy. But even when they got that pick on AMS, they didn't really move on it very much. Korvack's going to see if he can find an angle. He is not able to do so. And that center gun is actually doing a ton of work. And the dispenser...
Kuno! He went for the hero shot. He gets another attempt! The Condog is hiding onto that dispenser, and I'm pretty sure he got that little drop of sweat going down his neck, because you never really know if this dispenser will be able to catch on that bullet going through your head. And I'm surprised that Finn didn't really try to abuse on that one door, because there's only Silentis watching it, and I think Ams as well went for the hero shot, not really quite working. But yeah, when you look at the whole for Ascent, they have only Silentis watching both rollout and the first door, so maybe there's a place here for Feint to do anything. The double feed onto lobby, Track getting 2 frags and then getting cleaned up as well. But I mean, at this point, this is just frags being exchanged, and if both teams keep on getting a frag and then having one of them dying mere seconds after, it's not going to do anything. And looks like Amps is tired of waiting.
That's kind of his thing. He doesn't like waiting at all. So at some point, I expect him to just run out there and do something. And you know, he is AMS, so there's like a good solid 25% chance it might work. So, you know, if he does that 4 times, could work. But we are actually running out of time. There's 5 minutes remaining in the map. It's still 0-0, and there's 2 minutes remaining before the counter resets. And neither team are ahead, so if it resets, it's not a complete disaster for anyone. It's obviously better for Ascent if it all resets. And it looks like actually when you push into one here to put on some pressure.
They're finally doing it. 2 soldiers spamming. They get actually creative.
Oh
so
my
that means
god,
no
the medic
NG.
Connor's so weak.
And Kolog is weak as well, so maybe it's now time. Kuno picking left, got a headshot but got pushed back as well. Eames is picking, got cleaned up by the gun. This is a bit unfortunate here, and with the demo man down, this is actually maybe the pick that Ascent needed, but they're not in the situation. Korvack jumping in, getting denied by the gun. But now, Peter, what do you do when you're Ascent? If you keep on holding for 1 more minute, there's a reset round, but maybe the demo pick was enough for them to push out. It must be a tricky situation for them to decide what to do.
You can definitely do something where you send out a roamer or something, you know, or maybe even AMS just go spies again. Like, nobody expects the 5th time in a row going spy, you know, so...
True,
that's,
true. I
like,
would not.
Yeah, like, we're casting it, and I still don't expect them to do it. But it looks like they just decide to do nothing. So I think what we've identified their game strategy, and that is to just wait for the reset and get another mid fight and then take it from there. Because there is still like 2 minutes remaining after that resets. So that's what I'm going to assume. But before there was actually like the double soldier spam from the right side onto the dispenser. And they actually managed to get Connor into this corner where he's just kind of sitting still. And a few more seconds of that soldier spam and he would have dropped.
The Uber is being used onto Feint. They're trying to go onto Conduct. He finally uses the Uber of his own. Eames getting completely juggled and denied by Amps and the gun, so that was funny to watch. And this is probably the sole highlight of these last 5 minutes, because, yeah, Ascent is gonna sit here 14 seconds, 10 seconds now until the round reset. Feint, they try to go last one time. The gun, oh, and Amps gets the shot onto Seeds as well. So yeah, this is gonna be a round reset. No team were able to make the difference.
Yeah, like it's pretty obvious why this happened, right? Like Ascent, they could push and maybe get second, or they can wait and definitely get second, and possibly mid as well. So it's just better for them to sit around. And like this wouldn't happen if either team was ahead, but as it is, it was just 0-0. So we're gonna get another mid fight.
And this time my key is working, so I can see what's happening. The bomb from Korvack going into sewers. He's gonna meet Elako once more, but this time Elako looks like he's ready and held by his teammate as well, so it helps to have bodyguards in life. And now it's another casualty. Ams dies. This is pretty bad actually for Ascent not to have Ams able to lead the charge and the heals onto a direction. Conduct also extremely weak onto sewers. No heals for Ascent on the middle point. They need to go back, because losing a round would probably maybe
would probably meaning losing the map, but they don't care about that. That's why they're here and not me. They just keep on pushing back, don't give up that point, and they may be able to take it actually. Seeds has an Uber ad, he may be aware of that because Condor was not healing for a moment on Suez, but they do want to take that chance, and now it's 2 minutes better, and it's going to be really, really hard to make a decision, because if you make a mistake, you could as well lose the map.
Ombrack is sneaking his way in, but actually going to be the Demo Man suicide. And Seed's going to dance around. Elikor gets picked off by the scout. And this is something that we have actually seen Ascent do before. I guess, I don't know if this is the new meta exactly, but just this Demo Man suiciding is definitely a thing. But now there's going to be no sneaks and chokes, so this is going to open up the opportunity for Feint to move in here.
Drak does a ton of damage onto the choke, denying the push, and he's held by Silentus as well. Ombrack maybe has an opportunity from Suez, but he decided not to take it. Kunu actually extremely weak as well himself in the choke. The Uber is being used, forced by Ombrack. He saw that window of opportunity. He used that, he jumped in and forced Condog, and now it's 1 minute. An Uber ad for Feint, 100 Uber ad for Feint, and the best play probably here for Ascent will be to waste as much time as they can, wherever they can.
Let's hope they're better at pushing mid than they are pushing last, because this is a good time to do it in. They're gonna Uber in the Demo Man here, and
Condog is alone IT. He's getting chased by Eames. He's extremely weak. Can he live? Can he die? He's not getting help, and Eames claims that frag, so getting Condog now can be actually the decisive factor, but there's a backup happening from Silentus. He's drawing everybody from Feint back to the second point. That's extremely well played from Silentus, maybe saving his team here. And now it's going to be a messy fight, 25 seconds. Drak is actually capping as well. It's going to be helped by Elikor. Can they actually do it? If Drak goes to last now, maybe he can cap it. But the bomb from Amarok, helped by Sorex, crushes that dream. And yes, we've got it. 30 minutes, no round, and it's going to be a golden cap.
Definitely the slowest map we've ever seen from Ascent. As far as our predictions go, I mean, at least I said it was going to be a slower game, but this is way slower than even I expected. So it just seems like there's a lack of creativity there, just when pushing into last from Feint, and that kind of made things snowball, and Ascent had no incentive to push at all, and eventually they just ran out of time. So, you know, settle in, people, because the game won't end, the golden cap won't end until someone caps the last point. So we could sit here for 2 hours on this first map, and that could be a thing.
I mean, I wanted this game to last 3 maps, to last long, but that's not really what I had in mind, I'm not gonna lie, so I hope we can see something else. But we've mentioned how we felt like Feint was a bit ahead during that game, like a bit above Ascent, but now that there's been 30 minutes, I feel like, yeah, Feint, they were mostly on Ascent last, but they haven't really done anything threatening. So in the end, can we actually say they were the better team?
It's a pointed question for sure. They're slightly behind in the stats, but that's probably because they were attacking last for so long. You tend to accrue some pretty terrible stats when you suicide into last, and the defensive team just like mow you down and deny you. So I think the stats are largely inconsequential, and we can't really look too much at them. A pretty fun stat here is Elikor top damaging with 262. That's pretty low. And then he went 9 for 8, which is super low kill count as well. And in general, the kill count was very low. Sorix had a nice game though. He got up to 19 kills with 10 deaths.
I think it was on Drak's case. He pretty much chased that guy all over around the map. So that's pretty much. I'm assuming he got so many frags, but going into that golden cap, what do you think is the best plan here, Peter? Do you think both teams should just stick to the plan they had in mind, even though it led up to that result, or do you think it's time to actually and really change things up?
If I was Feint, I would definitely consider just going really aggressive. If you can get into some sort of situation where you can very aggressively push second off of like even Ubers or a slight Uber advantage or something like that, that could be a way to kind of circumnavigate the fact that you're unable to push last. So you just push second, then roll it into last. That's a pretty classic way of going about it. So it all depends on whether or not they get into that situation. Obviously, the mid fights have been completely even. They took a mid each. So, you know, either team could just win mid, and winning mid is obviously always the start of everything. But otherwise, it's just a matter of trying to probably talk it out, like how do we take mid, and then how do we potentially push last? Like, what kind of things can we do? You definitely want to talk through the different observations that you've done, like where do Drac suicide out from, and those kind of things, right? But anyway, we are actually going to go live here with the golden cap of the first map in the lower bracket finals. Loser will go home, but not before the end of 3 maps. But take it away on this mid.
Drac is high bombing already, getting denied by Korvac, so it can't really get onto Eames, and no sniper this time, so it's second middle with now no sniper. Seeds is actually getting pressure onto that choke, and 2 nice rocket from Silentes onto Eames, and it looks like that mid is going the way of Ascent, because it's only now Ombrack and Kunu trying to fight here, and Kunu is actually, no, it's Sorex on his own ITN. Look at Seeds already all the way back to last. He's safe and sound, he's not building though, and when you're a set now, you know you have 20% Uber high. Do you take that risk? I think you need to take it. Elacor's already trying to be aggressive on choke, and but that Uber high is fading like ice under snow, and I don't think they can do anything with that now. It's gonna be, you mentioned how maybe Feint could wipe Ascent on second, but it looks like it's gonna go the other way around maybe. There's already 2 casualties onto Feint.
There's definitely a time that you can just move in and get a ton of space and then do a suicide. And the first soldier comes in here, that's going to buy some space, make sure that people are turned around. And we actually see Drac sneaking his way in behind, but he has been called out. Just fine, but there's a scout onto the medic, and he actually gets the force out. Really big play there from AMS. And now the main advantage has turned into an Uber advantage.
And it looks good for Ascent, but I mean, I don't want to get ahead of myself because we've seen them wasting ads bigger than that. So I don't know, can they actually take it? I don't want to rejoice myself and think they will win this, because they're actually being quite slow. Seas already has 50% of the Uber, and there's a gun by Sorex onto the right door, so it's gonna be tough to break that hold, but the gun's already down. The Uber hasn't been used yet. Condor quarter pipe, so it's gonna be a bit bad. The Uber's been used, and aggression is coming from Silentes onto top. He's doing so much damage,
as well.
And there's a heavy and the back cap, so much happening at the same time, and Korvac is actually getting that back cap. Seeds dive though, so if Condor can leave, it's gonna be good, but can he leave? He's only helped by Credu, and he gets cleaned up by Kunu. So again, the Uber ad has been wasted. I think that's just fixed one, or maybe even more. I don't want to con anymore at this point.
It is just complete chaos, but that back cap really turned things around. It meant that people just dove onto the point really aggressively there, and that actually ended up costing them that last push. So a really clutch back cap there coming out from Korvac, I believe it was. And that's going to just allow them to get all the way onto middle. There's definitely some fighting going on though.
And the bomb is coming from Silentes. They cleaned up Korvac, so it's a threat eliminated. Drac is getting launched onto the air. It gets cleaned up as well by Kunu. And now it's a 3v5 actually. Seeds died, so no heals. It's only Kunu and Sorex. Sorex, 1-1 army, is against Silentes, Elacour, and Condor. Can he do anything? Is he gonna go for the pasta play, or is he gonna try to fall back? He's actually trying to waste time. This is extremely smart from Sorex. He gets damaged so heavily onto Sewers, gets cleaned up by Silentes, and this is gonna be another super big ad for Condor, and I feel like the end is near.
Yay. I get that same feeling, but they still have this last push that they have to clutch. So far, they haven't really succeeded. Last time around, we can always see Korvac. He's just getting ready to maybe go behind in that lobby. But of course, that's where all the traffic's going to come in. We'll see if they can actually nail it this time around, but there is a heavy, and there's a sentry gun as well. Oh wait, there's no heavy.
They're going right side. Uber has been just used right now onto AMS and Elacorn. The gun is going down, so now they need to focus on taking down actual human people. They can't get anything. The heavy is completely denying the bomb from Silentes, and the heavy is finally being taken down. The Seeds has 80% of Uber, so it's going to be a really short time before he has the Uber. Elacorn's putting time cap. Crew as well. Can they get it? Yeah, they actually get it. They finally get that round beater. This is 1-0. Ascent wins that golden cap, and what a ride it has been. It was a slow, long ride, but Ascent eventually takes the lead.
One map, one cap. That's all we need. And just eventually they did manage to get in there. It wasn't the prettiest of pushes, but they got a few players behind up in the bunker, and that was just enough to get enough damage done and really pull players out of position. And then once they got that scout on point, people just barely unable to get onto there. But this was very close. Like that heavy denied so much of that Uber, and actually Celentis ended up dying from the heavy. So it was a lot closer than it might have looked, and it's gonna be the first map to Ascent. What I expected, but not in the way that I expected it to happen. So looks like Feint really came into play, and they're gonna be much more difficult to dispose of for Ascent than what I think they were expecting as well.
So when you're Ascent right now, I feel like there's two ways of taking that win. It's like, yeah, you won the golden cap, so it's pretty good, but I don't think you expected the map to go that way. I think you expected I think when you're Ascent right now, you thought you would take that map more comfortably. So is it actually a win? I mean, on paper it is, but I think Feint can keep their spirits high because really they were not that far from taking home after 30 minutes. And I don't know what's gonna happen here because both teams played carefully. They didn't make that mistake. Like much mistake. They just waited pretty much, and yeah, I think Feint, yeah, they lost the map, but they can be quite happy with how it went, not being crushed, and yeah, Ascent maybe a bit disappointed as well. So I don't really know what's happening in the minds of these players right now.
It's always difficult to tell because, like, from our perspective and just with our preconceptions going into it, like, we're very, very happy for Feint, but, you know, you can always turn a good thing into a bad thing because, like, Feint, they were one good last push away from winning that map. But at the same time, they failed so many last pushes and they struggled with it for so long that can really just make you feel like there's no way you can win, right? Like, if you just push last 10 times in a row and you don't cap it, that just means it's impossible for you. Like, you can't cap it. And so that could be what they take away from it, or it could just be that they need to work on it, and Gullywash last is different, so they just need to keep up their good team play, just deny those pushes, and then get them good last pushes in here on Gullywash, which is different, and that's going to carry them into a victory on this map. So it should be pretty interesting to see what kind of lesson to take away from this, and it's always important to be positive. But sometimes people just get into this defeatist mindset, so hopefully they can avoid that, but only time will tell. And Gullywash is, of course, a pretty different map from Process.
Different, yeah, but I think the similarities are also quite dominant because, I mean, we've seen Credu, you mentioned that Credu against Kuno sniping duel, that could be a thing, and what did we see on the first middle? Credu playing sniper. So, and we can see that on Gullywash as well, so I think the main difference that's gonna help Ascent, in my opinion, is that Gullywash is a way smaller map than Process, because of that big door thing where you can go to second point from two different ways, and I feel like that second way on big door is better suited for Am's playstyle when he can just bring his medic with him and just rush onto big door, and that's why I think Ascent is slightly favored, but at the same time, the big door is such an easy hold for a demoman, and Eames, he knows how to do that. So I feel like this map has good thing for both teams, and it bothers me a bit because I don't want to see another 0-0 30 minutes game.
Oh yes.
So it can be a tie. I'm okay if it's a tie, but just give us rounds, give us maybe sentry guns and second points. I don't know, Amps, what you have in mind, but we haven't been through logs on Process, but you mentioned how they don't tell much because it was a really stalemate game and not quite much happened, so we won't go over that yet. So, and I don't really know how all these players performed, but from what I've seen, I feel like you mentioned how Elacor was top damaging, and we know how Demoman can be extremely dominant onto the mid fights on Gullywash.
Yes, that is definitely something to keep in mind. And I actually remember, Ascent, they were having a lot of success actually against 7 on Gullywash mid, and that was largely because of Elacor just doing so much more than Domo on those middles, where Domo was being pressured really heavily, so he was playing very defensively, whereas Elacor was kind of free to move forward and just dish out damage. And like that could be twofold. Like that could just be Elikor being a better demo man, doing more damage and being more confident, but it could also be that they're very good at putting on pressure onto the enemy demo man, which causes him to just not be able to be in the fight as much. So like it could just be the soldiers having some real influence there. And Gullywash in general, I'd say, is a pretty good soldier map. The middle maybe not the most particularly so, but just soldiers have a much better chance of just like DMing and doing damage and staying alive on Gullywash than they do on Process. Process is the big map where you fly around the corner, you do a surf, and you end up in the skybox and you land on the medic's head and you make a big play. Whereas Gullywash, you're just kind of a big tank and you waddle around and you do a lot of damage and you just blast the walls and kill everything. That's oversimplifying things, but that's kind of like the different feel of these two maps for the soldiers. So soldiers can have a very significant impact on both maps, but it feels different. And of course, you already mentioned the fact that we have the big door where I think both teams have some scouts that they would like to send behind. Like both Sorix and AMS, I feel like will do the tiger thing where he walks behind and just stays there forever, and nobody wants to take a 1v1 with him because he's just a DM beast. That's definitely a play to keep an eye out for.
And you know why this map is similar to Process? Because Kor'bak goes fast to mid, nonetheless. It doesn't care what the map is. Kor'bak will go fast to middle point. It will go fast on Elikor, and I think this is maybe one of the things that can hurt Feint a bit more than on Process, because it's really easy to punish roamer that's gonna go fast on middle on Gullywash. It's easier to punish on Gully than on Process, because on Process there's so much room to strafe around for a roaming soldier, whereas on Gully, if you kind of miss that bomb onto the demo man, you're kind of screwed. So
yeah,
it's gonna go down a lot on Kor'bak, and there was that myth, that legend that Silentis never loses on Gullywash as well. There's also that second myth where Drak is the king of big door. So I feel like the soldiers will have a lot of things to do, a lot of things to live up to as well. So again, a lot of pressure, and I think one of the things we will see is that Silentis playing onto drop down on the side of Feint. That's something he does really, really well. He did that when he was playing roamer. I don't know if he does it as much on pocket, but that was one of the things he was famous for on Gullywash. So maybe we're going to see that, and I'm expecting, I mean, if Feint have done their homework, they will expect Silentis going drop down, I guess. But again, so many unexpected things. I wouldn't be even surprised to see Credo getting the sniper out after on the first middle. So I don't really know what to expect. I just want to see a bit more. We mentioned how both teams tried things on Process. That's actually true, but
yeah,
they didn't do anything risky. So we'll see what they decide to do, and I think that first middle is going to be quite telling of how the two teams will approach this map. So this is Gullywash. This is map 2, Ascent.EU 1 Process after a golden cap. An exhilarating game that was really incredible, and now it's gonna happen again, maybe on Gullywash. We can see already a soldier playing aggressive onto Elikor. It got denied pretty well. It was Kor'bak. Now the high bomb is actually happening from Silentis onto the combo is getting helped by Draken. This is the mid grinder. Everybody is dying, but Kor'bak and Surex claiming a frag on their own, and the Seeds is already so far back he can't help Eames at all. And
we actually have a
getting
scout
chased.
so aggressive. Wow.
Relentless, and the bomb is actually happening as well from Silentis. He misses the rocket, but finally cleans up Seeds as well. He almost went to a disaster here when Seeds just juke everything. And now that there's gonna be a super big ad for Ascent. Kondok didn't die on the middle. Amarok and Sorex are 2 more casualty to add to the line, and it's gonna be maybe a 3-second point. Yeah, Kor'bak died as well trying to sack onto Kondok, but the medic was nowhere to be seen, and that was a bit messy, but in the end, Ascent takes the better end of this fight.
And they will get a massive Uber advantage to work with as well. We already see a soldier in water actually just getting ready to go up on the point. And actually, if Eames backs into him, this could be a complete disaster. It looks like, okay, Eames, he dodged that bullet, but the soldier is still there. So if anyone decides to back off in there, it's going to be a bad disaster.
And the Uber is being used onto Shutter Door. Pyro did his best to deny that force, that Uber, and actually Amps got cleaned up by Eames as well. So that Uber once more, that Uber ad push for Ascent went south, and Condog is so weak, gets cleaned up by Sticky from, I think that was him. So now it's only Silentes against 3 players, but these players are heavy, a demo and a medic, so he knows he can't win that fight, and he will have to go back. And this is now starting to get a bit infamous. The last pushes from Ascent are not really working out good for them.
Silentes is kind of caught in. He's kind of throwing them the loop-de-loop and trying to he actually out-DMs the scout and the soldier. Wow. Silentes being behind lines, but he was not stuck behind lines with them. They were
He's
stuck
on last.
with him.
He declowed, I think Korvac heard him and he cleaned up. But that play from AMS actually drew pretty much everyone back with the help of Drac on Riverside. So yes, it's an Uber ad for Feint, but they kind of wasted time, and the more time is wasted, the better for Ascent. High bomb from Korvac onto Choke, gets one rocket, but it gets cleaned up, and the trap from Elako as well cleans up Eames, so it's actually going really bad now. Elako just connects everything, every pipe, every rocket are being hit on the scout faces, and Uber is being forced. Condog is in a really safe spot right now, and that push out was so slow for Feint, and Elako as well. Elako is just feeling it, just killing everyone. He gets another one, get 3 frags in a split second, and Uber again for Condog, and Feint got completely crushed onto the around that shutter door.
Deep breath from Ascent here. They know they can't rush this too much. They need to cap out second. They have full Uber advantage. They've got a lot of heals. Caesar's only now just spawned, and here comes the Uber.
He's being used, but again, nothing is really quite done. But as I said, Eames dies as well, and Korvac as well behind the point. So now it's only 3 players, a heavy, a pyro, and a medic. But there's a lot of cap time already. Kuno tried to go for the contest, gets cleaned up, and Sorex as a heavy couldn't do much more than what he did. And finally, a decent Uber push for Ascent, and the round within the 31st minute. Crazy.
Unbelievable. So we're not going to have the same situation as before. That's already a known fact. So we're really happy about that. And that just means that, are we going to see Korvac jump into the demo man quickly again? Looks like not quite.
Korvac is waddling on drop down. Elako just knew, he waited, and 2 Sikis cleaned up the frag onto Korvac. But Drac and Silentes are 2 casualties onto the side of Ascent. Ams launched into the air, manages to kill Eames, and this fight could go in the way of Ascent, but no, Elako gets cleaned up by a nice bomb from Armarak, and now Condog is so committed on Choke. Siege dies as well to Ams, so somehow this is getting better, but Condog being so committed, he's gonna get flanked.
He's gonna find a medic.
Surex is here, gets one shot, but Drac helps his medic, and that play from Condog could have been, Condog getting a little cheeky on shot as well, but him being so forward on Choke could have been pretty bad for his teammates, but somehow Sorex didn't hit the 2 shots he needed to hit, and now this is going to be a Uber ad, a push ad for Ascent. They're going through Choke, trying to make their way slowly so they don't get forced. The 2 Roman trades on big door, so nothing happens on that side of the map, and now Feint, they have to go back. They have to give the respect to that Uber charge, the respect it deserves. And look at that, we mentioned that how Big Dog could be a quick way for Ams to lead his team, and they're already making way onto that second point while Feint is only on the top point.
Yeah, MS, he's definitely looking to go behind. He has actually found his window, and now he's going to get onto the demo man and just take him down. Eames overextending just the tiniest of amount, and that's going to be a quick takedown there from AMS, who's already made his way into Riverside. He kind of peeked his way into last here, but now Ubers are even, so he's not quite going to be able to get in there and really do much without being a free kill there. But now we have 2 people in the water. What are they going to do with this?
Credit Drac tried to draw attention onto them, but the double bomb from Korvac and Amarok just sweeps them out quickly, and it's not only Credit will have to go back. I assume he's trying to dodge the rockets. He does that pretty well, and skillfully leaves onto Riverside. But I don't know what's your opinion on that, Peter, but I feel like Ascent are so much more confident onto Gullywash than what they were in Process.
You definitely feel like they have a much bigger command of it. On Process, they were just constantly like getting these tiny things where like Eliko would drop the medic, or they'd get like a nice Uber force off of some sort of individual play. But right now, they're just kind of comfortably winning these fights and just seemingly playing better than Feint. But that's very promising for them. A very good sign. And it looks like they're going to send the scout into the water already. And the soldier onto... Oh my god! What a great deny there from Amarok. Just destroyed Drac as he jumped in. I'm pretty sure he jumped in and just airshot him and denied him.
The thing is, Elacore died to 6 trap from Eames, so now that Credit is gonna get cleaned up, of course, onto Riverside. This is pretty bad for Sam because they have no demo to hold that door, and they probably will have to maybe go back on Choke. They're getting pushed by everyone on the point. Korvac is coming high onto Choke, securing the spot for his team, and without breaking a sweat, Feint takes that second point, and yeah, Elacore dying here was the nail in the coffin for that push for Ascent.
We see the first instance of the Credu sniper. He didn't roll it to the first middle, but he does it now. It's a pretty obvious scout or it's a sniper situation, but of course he hasn't been spotted yet, I think, and he's just going to be sniping here in Big Door, and there's actually a ton of space right now. Nobody's really contesting Big Door. We see Korvac inside, getting ready to pounce on anyone that actually dares step inside his house, and he's been spotted now. Alright, he actually took a lot of damage there, so he's going to have to back off, but I'm pretty sure he saw the sniper.
Yeah, and Eames is aware of that as well. They heard the shot from Credu, and now it's going to be a risky game for Eames to keep on picking here, because one of the reward could be a head, bullet in the head, but Korvac claims that first, he claims the prize, and now it's going to be pretty hard for Feint to hold that. They have to trade that Uber,
behind,
and they do it, because yeah, they have 2 players behind them now with Amps and Drac. Uber is being traded, but it's bound to be better for Sen any second now, because Kunu dies in the backline. Drac and Amps doing so much work onto that lobby. Siege dies as well, and now it's only Amarok and Korvac. Well, everybody is up into Ascent except Elacore, and it could be a highway onto last point if they take that swiftly. They know it. They just leave the sniper onto the cap point. This is the proper play. That's what they need to do, and now they need to take space. There's no heals yet. Siege just spawns now, and this is probably a reset now for Ascent. They get Korvac though, so maybe they don't have to wait for the Uber ad, but they try to play it more carefully, and they're gonna wait for the 50% they need to go with a shiny Uber.
This is where you have to be really careful. Is this Pyro on the back burner? No, okay, it's just pimped out, but they actually get the demo man. That's so huge. Really big snipe there from Credu. Now there's going to be no stickies on the point, so they can actually dive that with an Uber advantage. That's so huge.
Track is behind, is getting contested by Korvac, so he can't do anything more than that, but Uber is being used onto Elacore only. Nobody really helps him out here. The heavy is going to drop onto the point as well, but he's getting peppered down. But nobody really shoots the heavy. They don't need to. They just play the point. Nobody really committed to break that cap time, and really well played. Nice read here from of the situation from Ascent, and they take a second round here, and now Feint are down 2-0 bitter, and they need to react because they've been on the back foot this whole map.
That wasn't a pretty push, but it got the work done. Just that demo snipe at the very beginning or before the push even came in, that was just so crucial. So even if they didn't play it that well and they actually took a ton of damage before the Uber even came in, it was kind of weird. And I think we do have a pause here.
Yeah, that game was too fast, so they paused.
It's true. Like 2 points in 10 minutes? What is this? Like TF2 speedruns?
I think it's illegal to have that many points on the scoreboards after 10 minutes.
Yeah, someone called Speed Demos Archives because this is crazy, you guys. They're just speed running this match. Oh my god. Crazy.
But yeah, you mentioned that wasn't the best push of all time. That wasn't clean. That wasn't anything like it. But in the end, that's a round. And I don't really know what Feint can do right now because I don't see them making huge mistake. I feel like right now it's like the quality of Ascent making the difference.
And it starts with the middles, right? Like they tend to do really well on those, and then it just snowballs out of control from there. They're just looking very, very strong. It's not like a complete roll or anything, but they just consistently seem to do better, as we have on pause here. So we're going to go to mid once again. Let's see if Feint can make their comeback happen.
Korvac is once more winning until that point. He's not going drop down this time. He's unseen and he's jumping in, but he's getting airpiped by Elacore, and the two stickies get clean. 2-player and Sletis as well with the pickaxe claiming the frag onto Siege. This is going extremely bad for Feint now. Only Surex is up, and if he gets cleaned up, this is gonna be a wipe. I think he left in due time, but it was like 1 HP or something, and that extremely dominant mid here. Really know what Feint needed.
Absolutely. Sorg, he got out of there with about 3 HP, which is functionally 1 HP in TF2. I don't think there's any weapon that does less than 3. So, but more importantly, Connor survived, Seas did not. It's going to be a full Uber advantage. Ascent, they're going to just look in here. There is a Pyro, but he's actually pretty far back, so he's not going to stop them at the shutter door, it looks like. So, let's see how Ascent decide to do this. It's actually going to be the shutter door.
They used onto AMS and the Elacore to take the gun down eventually after 50% of Uber, and now AMS is dropping onto the point but gets cleaned up by the sticky. He didn't have any Uber left on him, and again another point play, because if they identified what they have to do. If they kill Eames, there's nobody pressuring the cap at all. So whenever Eames dies, this is a free round for Ascent.
They essentially sacked 3 players onto Eames there. Like the first scout with the tail end of the Uber with the flash jumped into his face, but Eames actually dealt with him, but then there's 2 more players jumping him, so really brutal there for Eames. He did his best, but just not enough there to stop the Ascent players from going on to point.
And the Feint tried to be aggressive here. Korvac dived into big door right at the start, but it got cleaned up by everybody waiting for him, and with 1 casualty that early, it's going to be tough. Eames is another one falling to the battle, and again, Seeds is out this time, so it's slightly better, but it looks like Feint, they can't find the answer to this double bomb from Drac and Silentes, whereas Korvac worked okay on the first middle, but ever since he hasn't done anything on the middle.
They're just really effective at shutting down those bombers and just resisting all just damage being done onto them, and then they just immediately surge across the point and just spam them out. And if Feint wants to stay in, they're just gonna accept a ton of damage, and they're just not willing to do that. So they're basically forcing them to commit in order to win this mid, and that's very dangerous. And actually, they get 2 picks there in Riverside, so that's gonna be an opening in here. And that's gonna be Silentes.
It jukes forever, it juked forever. The bomb from Silentes, somehow he lived this. And with that sticky trap onto the shutter door, claimed 2 frag. So he salvaged that situation. Drags as well, Drags on top. Somebody watches the back cap. Credo takes it, and it looked so good for Feint, but in the end this is so bad.
So close yet so far. They were on a just really nice push out, but if you're just not vigilant enough, a single scout can just go in there, and I don't even think anyone was close enough to contest him at all. So now we have 4-0 here. 1 more round, and we're gonna see Ascent in the finals against 7. Let's see if they can win another mid here.
Bomb coming from Silentes is getting held by Drac onto drop down, but this time they can't get a frag, so that's new, that's different, that's an upgrade for Feint. They got 2 without dying, and now all they have to do is pushing Ascent back. AMS gets a frag onto Korvac, but maybe gotta get cleaned up by Eames, yes. And finally, this is the reaction that Feint needed. Only Kondog and Elacore up right now, but I think that the turning point here was Korvac not feeding at the start of the middle.
Definitely helped them out there. That's kind of been an issue where he just dies too early on. Like, he goes in super aggressively and then he just gets rebuffed very quickly. So now we actually do see a situation that they've been in before here, just not on this map. And that is Feint pushing last, but it's even Uber. So now they have to get creative, try to get their way in there and make some space. Kratos going to be sniping in Riverside. They're going to have to be careful not to walk into that too much. Soda's going to eventually jump in there, and he will actually go down. So just get body shotted. So far they continue their struggles with these last pushes.
Yeah, it looks like Amarok and Korvac are some... Oh, Kratos picks on Seas, he gets a frag on top. Nobody challenged him, and that's a crucial shot here, crazy shot here from Credo, and with no heals, this is gonna be probably a free push for Ascent. He cleaned up Sorex, who was pushing lower lobby, trying to go for the back cab. That play from Credo was out of this world, and it just... I mean,
if you open the door for Credo for just a second, he's just gonna rip your medic's head off. That's just a fact.
If anything could go worse for Feint, yeah, like nobody is going their way, nothing is going their way right now.
Yeah, they're gonna trip when they go to the bathroom, and they're gonna get wet, gonna get like toilet water on their pants, and they're gonna have like toilet paper stuck in their shoe when they get out of it. That's just kind of the game they have so far. But actually, there's a soldier onto the medic. Nope, Korvac will not be able to find Connor in time. Now we have a really strong push coming in here. There's still an Uber advantage, but the Uber advantage is slowly disappearing.
It's too small now, too thin to push on it, because it's not that anymore. It's even hamstring to poke onto the lobby, but Uber is being used by Seeds quite early here, while Conduct doesn't have to use the Uber as well. So I don't really know what happened with it, but probably a bomb scared Seeds and he had to use. And now Arms is dead, yes, but there's still an Uber onto the hands of Condog, and if Ascent play their card correctly, they could win that map. They're going Shutter Door. Kredu is leading that charge with the help of Elacore. Nobody's playing pro right now, only Korvac is behind it. Kredu's playing the point. He's not getting challenged, and this is it. This is a 5-0 sweep here for Ascent. Barely challenged on the map, and they're making their way to the finals.
Really strong performance there. They really turned that one around. Even when they got pushed all the way back into their own last, it just never looked close. Like, it just seemed like Feint was never able to really break those last points. You know, like whenever they were trying to get the medic or to pop, they just ended up being denied so much earlier than that. It's not like they bombed in players and then they got shut down and it didn't work. It was like they were trying to make space so they could bomb in, but they just didn't manage to get space without losing players and bleeding players. And they just really struggled.
Yeah, like how do you go from such a close process to this kind of map where everything goes against you? I don't really know what happened. If there was, maybe they got mentally exhausted after the golden cap. It's really hard to lose the golden cap after you've put so much heart and effort into it, especially when it's that long of a game. So maybe that's what happened, or maybe Gully is just not that strong suit. Maybe we'll get to ask them if they come around. But yeah, in the end, extremely dominant map for Ascent. We're gonna take a look at logs now, because they will be more telling than what we saw on process. And I haven't looked at them yet, but I feel like again Elacore was just head of everyone.
Yeah, he was very, very good. Like top damaging by a very big amount. Like 383 damage per minute is absolutely monstrous. 14 for 6. His KD wasn't really around last map for reasons. But this time around, there was plenty of action, so he got a lot of kills. So like, it doesn't matter what the map is, really. Like, Elacore is just going to be a constant nuisance and threat. Really, I can't remember the last time like Elacore had bad logs. It just doesn't seem to ever happen. And I think probably the biggest takeaway here is if you look at the deaths and the kills of Korvac and Amarok and the two medics, because that's really where the difference comes in, and you can really see who was struggling and who wasn't.
Yeah, because this is not often that you see Seeds having more death than the opposing medic. So him having 6 death while Condog only has 1 is actually extremely telling, way more than probably any other stats here, because Seeds is really good at staying alive, surviving. So when he does it way this less efficiently than the other medic, it means that something goes wrong in the way his team is playing. It's not about him being like a dead weight in his team. I feel like it's more about the combo as a whole, as the core of the way they play. So yeah, I mean, when you lose 5-0 in 15 minutes, there's a lot of things that went wrong. Obviously, it's not just because Elacore was better. I think it's more about, you mentioned how the hold last were an issue for Feint as well. So
yeah, they didn't capture the last a single time. So that's definitely an issue.
That's I just noticed they didn't score a single round. So maybe if they stay together, they will know what work on. But yeah, Feint is third. It's probably what they were aiming for at the beginning of the season. Ascent is going up the table now. They're gonna meet 7 again on the finals. So it should be an interesting map, especially game, especially after what we've seen here. And I think
spicy prize as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The winner will get free tickets and rentals for Copenhagen Games. So I think that's such an awesome prize. That's so much better than a mouse mat or whatever we had in previous seasons. So that's really cool. And I guess we should also mention that STM Trading is sponsoring ETF2L as well. So I think there might also be like some sort of money prize as well. Or maybe those are being distributed among the lower divisions. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember. Oh well, but it's gonna be very cool. Whoever wins that. So we're gonna see like some sort of super team at LAN.
And we are joined by a lot of people who played that game. Onto the Essence, we have Ams and Silentes, and Kuno is joining us for Feint. So first of all, congratulations to Ams and Silentes. Commiseration to Kuno. Let's go to the winner first, I guess. Ams, that first map was something else. We surely didn't expect it to be that slow and yeah, like I mean 0-0 after 30 minutes. What was the plan going into that game?
Yeah, we swapped some things around in the comms. Today was the first time we played with like me not main calling. It was Silentis calling, and well, everybody calling really, but Silentis was making the decisions, and that's not why it was like slow. It was slow just because they were playing pretty slow, and we didn't really want to risk it. Like, obviously, we were like getting used to playing the way we were, like with comms and stuff, and you don't really want to start making like risky pushes out of last, especially in a high stakes game like that. So, yeah, I think it was slow because of that.
Okay, so bouncing on what Hams just said, Silentes, how was it to, I guess, take more responsibility into the calls? Did you feel any kind of different pressure than usual?
A lot of the things I'm saying were things I would normally be saying anyway, so it wasn't really that different. The only thing, it's just nice to have a group of like very good players that you can tell them to like not die or do stuff on last. It happens, and you don't have anyone like feeding too much and stuff. So it was just pretty comfortable.
And so you heard it, to make it to the finals, tell your team not to die, and this is the key to success. And we're also joined by
Don't die.
Don't die. We're joined by Imps as well. Well, now that we have two Feint players, so Kuno, you were playing with Ale for pretty much the season. You picked up Imps to sub for Ale, I think a week ago or something. How did he? Do you think it mattered in the way this game went tonight?
I mean, I think it meant we played with a lot more confidence, because Eames was much more confident and strong in his main calling than Ali had been the past couple of weeks. So it was a real good boost for us.
Yeah, Eames, before the game started, we mentioned how we thought you were pretty much the perfect fit for Feint in the way you used to call for Aura and the way Feint played. How did you approach that game, considering you didn't really play with Feint before? Did you had any like strats in mind before going against Ascent, or did you just try to go with the flow and see what happened?
No particular strats in mind. I think the main thing was just trying to sometimes, like, you know, get them to do the stuff that I like to do, which we did a few times, I think. I know it was. I mean, Gully was just like awful. I don't know. It would just nothing really happened. I think like I would have been a lot more comfortable. I didn't really know what people were doing on Gully, and it was just sort of like kind of chaotic. But I know I felt like we probably should have won process, but it was kind of like the stalemate was just like there's not really much I can do as demo to like end the stalemate, and like I think people were waiting for me to like tell them what to do or like, you know, ask for certain plays. But normally I know like when I play with Azunis, for example, he just sort of comes up with things and I just like let him do his thing, and so that's not really part of the game that I'm very good at calling. So I think we probably suffered because of that.
That's fair. So yeah, I think I should have phrased that in the way. Did you try to come into Feint with trying to have them play your way, or did you just try to fit to their play style? I think that's a better way to phrase that.
I suppose it was more the latter, because like particularly the way Amarok plays pocket, it was more like, because I'm obviously playing with Pappy. Like a lot of the time in Aura, I would just say like, "Oh, Pappy, go take a nade," but I think they were a lot more comfortable with me doing a lot more of it. So I had to sort of take more responsibility than I would normally. Yeah.
Okay, and I think we've given process way too much attention considering what a map it was. So let's move on to Gullywash. After how it went on process, did you expect Gullywash to went that way, or did you just thought it would be extremely small or slow again? What was your? Did you try to change things after how process went?
I don't think we changed anything drastic. I think we were just more chill in Gullywash. So there was like less pressure on us. I don't know. That's how it felt like. It felt like we were just doing our thing. We didn't really care about consequences, you know, just going in. And I think that's what works best for us. That's when we kind of play our best. So yeah, it worked well.
And Kuno, did you? So Eames mentioned how they didn't really know how you guys played as a team on Gullywash, but would you say there was, like, it's really hard mentally to lose a golden cap after it's been such a long game? So would you say there was some kind of mental exhaustion maybe, or?
I don't think you can deny the fact that people were a bit disheartened by losing that golden cap. Like, I was slightly, you know, I was trying to keep loud about it, like being happy and positive. But long story short, like, every iteration of Fate has just sucked at Gully. Like, it's been our worst map for a while, and we couldn't change that for today, which is upsetting, but oh well, what happens happens.
Sunshine.
Well, Sunshine was the decider, so maybe we would have seen a different thing happening. But now, so Feint, you've third in the league after getting knocked out here. I think it's pretty fair to assume that it's pretty what you were aiming for at the start of the season. So I think in the end, even though you lost tonight, it's a pretty satisfying way to end the season.
It's the minimum we were aiming for this season, yeah. So no one's that upset. I think because of SGN's lovely sponsor, we get 300 euros or something. I don't know if I read that wrong, but it feels nice. And for Ombrack and I being our first season in Prem, it's pretty good.
And now Silentes, big boys, you're going on to the finals to play against Seven. Which is pretty much the only team that beat you this season. So what is the mindset going on to that game against Seven?
You know, just to play as style and just play some good TF2 and not have any silly mistakes happening. I would be happy playing a close final where we just make very little errors and have good play. I think I'll be satisfied with that. And obviously we have a good chance of winning if we can do that. So I'm just aiming for that. I definitely think winning is possible.
Well, yeah, that's pretty good to go in the finals, to think you can win. I'm going to bring my last question to you. When you made that team, many people thought that you made that team for winning, not that you're in the finals. Are you happy with how far you've come? What's the end goal now for Ascent?
I mean, regardless of what happens, I'm so happy to be able to have played this season with these guys. Like, it's a bunch of really experienced people, and they've just been a joy to play with the whole way through. So regardless of how we do in the finals, it's been a really fun team to play in. With that being said, I think we're more than capable of winning. I think the last performance we had against Seven was some of the worst TF2 we played in officials so far. I think we're capable of so much more. So yeah, I really think we can win it if we put our minds to it.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty hyped for that final. Peter, do you have any more questions to ask our guests?
Yeah, I have a question for I think, guys. So your journey for this season is over, but does your journey continue after the season? Do you have any plans for lands or for next season? What's your plans?
No comment as of yet.
Mysterious. All right. Well, I'm just going to ask everyone then to write your best theories on the forums to pressure these guys into spilling the beans. But okay, otherwise I don't really have any more questions.
So I think we'll wrap things up with some shout-outs. Ams, do you have any people you want to notify tonight?
Shout out to my team and Ascent.org. That's it.
Kuno.
Shout out to Hobbin and all the Faint people for the sponsor. It's been really fun. There's some great people. And shout out to Babolygon.